People from Buffalo, New York, like myself, will tell you that Buffalo is booming and that we're in a renaissance. Here we are at one of the most historic spots in Buffalo, the termination of the Erie Canal, which connected the sea with the land and industry and commerce, and one time made Buffalo what was called the Queen City of the Lakes. Now it's going through somewhat of a renovation, a restoration, where all kinds of people, they're coming, they're having fun, they're listening to music, they're going on boats, they're doing all kinds of things. But you know, there's also some challenges with this renaissance, this revitalization. The Holy Father, Pope Francis, tells us that we have to be mindful of those who are not enjoying an economic renaissance, the poor. In fact, the bishops of Buffalo, the Episcopalian and the Roman Catholic, Bishop Franklin and Bishop Malone, together they wrote a letter about the pioneer spirit that we have to engender so that everyone can have a piece of what we're enjoying with this revitalization, this economic revitalization as well. We're going to go to some spiritual centers of our downtown and neighboring area today. We're going to go to St. Joseph's Cathedral, which is the main church of the Diocese of Buffalo, if you will, the church for everybody. We're going to go to the Old First Ward. That's where my great-grandfather lived. We're going to go to it's Our Lady of Perpetual Help. They call it Pets. We're going to have a little bit of a lunch there with one of the community activists. And then we're going to end up in Larkinville. And we're going to talk about a real success story there with a great Franciscan who considers that his home. He's on the bicycle, he's doing all kinds of things, everything. So don't go away, because we got a lot coming your way on our Daily Bread today. I don't know about you, I'm not a really big breakfast person, but since we're downtown near our cathedral, which is over 150 years old, and we're kind of taking a little tour of Buffalo and the redevelopment and some of the surrounding neighborhoods, you know, I think, well, we got to have something to sustain us on our way. So we dragged all of our things here to have a little cookout breakfast. I'm going to make some burritos, and you can do these even in your home. I've got some a wonderful little skillet here going. It's like a fajita pan. I'm going to just put these tortillas there. I've got some Polish sausage. Let's see, what else have I got? Oh, I got some ham. Actually, what I'm going to do is I'm going to make two types of tortillas. One would be ham and cheese with a little egg and some peppers in it, and the other one would be more of a Polish kind of traditional Polish sausage. Now, we're starting with the tortillas. I want to, oh, they're nice and brown there. I want to put some cheese in one. You know, I'm kind of doing everything at once. I just want to get everything kind of heated up at the same time. So let me put the sausage on the grill itself on the back. This is a charcoal grill, not a gas grill, although gas grills are fine to use too. Sometimes it's just a convenience, a matter of convenience, huh? There's the bells of the cathedral. It's 11:30, I think. There we go. I'm going to put a little cheese in this one. And this will be my ham and cheese. Let's see here. Oh, yeah, okay. I'm gonna let that melt just a little bit. Here's my other tortilla. Now let's see. Oh, this one's gonna be the Polish sausage, which I've got really going here. By the way, Polish sausage, this Polish sausage is made right here in Buffalo on the old East Side, which was a great place for a lot of markets many years ago, some of which have stayed there and some of which are coming back. So we got a little sauerkraut. There's some cooked onions and mushrooms. Now here, this is what I learned to do for a burrito. A young man who works at a local taco joint told me this. You start by turning it in, then you pull it out a little bit, then you wrap it this way, and then stuff that in that way. And he's a professional, so he did it better. Whoa, there we go. Let's try another one. That's what you do. In fact, with food like this, it's great just to eat it as you go. Here we go. Here's a beautiful cheese. I got some melted provolone and mozzarella. Ham and cheese, what could be better? Look at how nicely brown that is. That's a lot of ham in there. Let me cut down a little bit. You don't need that much. Okay. And then, what else was, oh, some peppers. You know what else? Everybody's putting eggs on everything and sriracha on everything. So let's do what everybody's doing. Here we go. Oh! How much you want to bet I can get that out of that pan? That's going to be the trick. But I did put a little of vegetable oil on the pan before I started out. So let's see, we got our little bit of peppers. And I thought I'd use a little bit of, the black beans, which are good for you too. Nice fiber content. Give it a little bit of extra texture. You may know that Buffalo was really built by people with a strong spirit of work ethic, and there were immigrants from Italy and from Ireland and from all over the place. And now we're getting immigrants from other areas, African nations, Burma, these places where new restaurants with new types of food are popping up all over the place. It's really an exciting time. I am gonna flip this yolk. Okay, there we go. Okay, I'm just waiting for my egg to get ready. Hey, Father Peter Drilling, how are you?
How nice to see you.
Father Peter Drilling is not the pastor, the rector of the cathedral. What's the difference?
That's very accurate. I am the rector because the bishop is the pastor. And so I help to do the daily pastoral work here. And of course it is the host for all kinds of diocesan events, and a magnificent structure built 160 years ago, beautifully decorated. We just had an architectural expert visiting from Chicago who is here examining the work of Patrick Deely, who was the architect for this cathedral. So very interesting, and lots of interesting things happening.
You've been here only not less than a year.
Oh yes, only 6 months.
It's a big change. You used to be the rector of Christ the King Seminary.
Yes.
And that's in the rural kind of area, East Aurora. Now you're in the center of the city. Has it been an adjustment for you?
It hasn't been, it is being.
It is being, okay.
It's an adjustment right now as I get used to all of this. But certainly this particular area of Buffalo has become so lively lately with all of the things going on at Canal Side and so much else. So it has been a very interesting time here. We're preparing a postcard to be sent out letting everyone know in this zip code that they are always welcome to visit the cathedral. Roman Catholics, people of other Christian denominations, people of other religious faiths or of none. But in terms of the Roman Catholics, this is always a wonderful church for them to visit and get to the heart of life at the diocese.
Very good. Thanks so much, Father Peter.
Hey, God bless you,
And everybody's welcome.
Everybody
so
is
make
welcome.
A trip to the cathedral.
Absolutely. You can come too.
Thank you.
Now I'm going to have Mass.
Thank you. You got Mass? Great. The noon Mass, which is every day. Is it 12:05 or something?
That's correct.
12:05 for the workers. They have the 12:05 Mass here. You know that? Every day. Here we go. Egg on top. I'm not even going to try. This is going to be a mess. But boy, is it going to taste good. Look at the mess in that. You know, you're going to have to do what I do, kind of fly by the seat of your pants sometimes, because sometimes when we make them the way we're like, it's a little overfilled. Maybe you don't like it quite so raw. By the way, I'm going to make some other things for later on for our lunch, because we're going to be eating all day today. And I'm going to put a little bit of vegetable oil back on the cast iron here. And I've got some shrimp. Make sure you don't cross-contaminate raw shrimp with anything else. I'm going to throw this shrimp on, and we're going to use this for a salad. Now, I've marinated the shrimp in just a little bit of white wine vinegar or white balsamic vinegar, as well as some olive oil, a little bit of olive oil in this case. Get our peppers. And see how beautiful, oh look at them, they're already turning a bright orangish reddish color. We don't want to overcook them. We're going to use them for our salad. So in addition to this, this skillet, we're going to have a nice salad with grilled romaine lettuce for lunch today. Now I'm going to move my skillet over here while those shrimp finish up. Got a couple of nice romaine heads here. Not real big. They were washed and cleaned, and I'm cutting them with a non-metallic knife so you don't get them turning brown quite so quickly. I'm just cutting off the little bitty top here, okay? And then I'm slicing these in half. Okay. Boy, we're really going now, aren't we? All right. I'm going to put a little bit of vegetable oil on these, a little bit of salt, and a little bit of pepper. And then these are going to go right open side down on the grill. Hear that little sear? That's the oil and the water. Let me put this in here. We're going to grill that. Our shrimp are going really nicely. There we go. Oh. Eggs, cheese, ham, sriracha, black beans, and little green peppers all done on the grill. I love it. These are really good. A little messy looking, but they'll sustain you through our visit around downtown Buffalo and surrounding neighborhoods as we head from the cathedral, which come on out and visit the cathedral here. They got mass every day. You can come to Cathedral Green, read a book or a newspaper, have your lunch here. And we're going to head over to Our Lady of Perpetual Help Church in the old First Ward. We're also going to go to a place called Larkinville. And that's all coming your way on our Daily Bread, so don't go away. Well, we made some great breakfast burritos down at the cathedral. We've traveled now. What else did we make at the cathedral? Oh, I grilled some romaine and some shrimp to have lunch with Peg Overdorf today. Peg, how are you?
Thank you.
Yeah, but she hates shrimp, so we're not going to have that. But we're going to make some dressing and talk about things. But Peg Overdorf is very well known in the First Ward. Do we say the First Ward of South Buffalo?
It is the First Ward of South Buffalo, yes.
What's the difference between the Valley, the Ward, and South Buffalo?
Years ago, people referred themselves most likely to a parish.
Yes,
they
okay.
referred themselves to Our Lady of Perpetual Help, St. Stephen.
Which is where we are right now.
Right now.
This church founded in 1897, I believe.
Yes.
Is this your church?
It
Do you belong
is.
here?
It is. It is. I've been a parishioner here and a resident here all my life.
What was the foundation of this community? It was really an Irish community.
The foundation of this community was a lot of the Irishmen who built the Erie Canal settled close by in this community. That's why they're not magnificent big architectural wonder. They're a working man's house.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of the people here came over from Times Beach, which was an early shanty settlement on the outer harbor.
Is that where the term shanty Irish comes from? Or
It
what? They
is.
lived in
It
little
is.
shanties
It is. And then when they
and
all went
lace
out
Irish
South
and
Buffalo, then they became lace curtain
Lace
Irish.
curtain Irish. Okay.
Us shanties
Yeah.
stayed behind.
What's the biggest problem you face in the regentrification of this area? In the fact that people are moving in, you told me they're paying, some of them exorbitant amounts of money. I actually know, Kevin, looked for houses here in the last several years. Almost nothing goes on the market, and if it does, there's almost a bidding war all the time.
Right, right. And there is a movement right now to protect the folks up around the medical campus. Whatever they do, or whatever ordinances they propose, we will certainly back them, and hopefully we'll be protected by those same ordinances that they're...
What do you need to be protected from? I guess that's my question.
Increase in taxes.
Okay, see, that's what I didn't understand. What are we protecting people from? It's protecting them from other properties going up so high that their taxes will go up so high that it would be impossible for them to live in the same neighborhood.
Right.
By the way, I just want to mention that we have, I made a dressing out of lemon zest, lemon juice, a little bit of anchovy paste, white wine vinegar, garlic, Worcestershire, salt, pepper, some Dijon mustard, low-fat sour cream, and a little bit of olive oil. And that recipe you can find at our website. Now, this morning I roasted
Romaine?
romaine. You willing to try some of them?
Sure.
All right. Let's see what else. You don't eat shrimp, I do. But I'm going to put a little bit of,
Oh, that looks good.
maybe a little raspberries for you here, huh? How about that? Okay.
I like those.
Good. I love them too, yeah. And I'll put mine over here. And the other thing we're going to do, one of the big things now is flavored water. So we're just going to flavor this water with some orange, some berries, some spearmint. Let's see.
Geez, I might drink water after I see you and your concoction.
I don't know. Now I know that behind us there's a renovation going on in the church here too.
Yes,
it's
it
a pretty
is.
expensive thing.
It is.
And this is still it's not an economically thriving, but it's getting there.
It is, and I think that's why we need a mixed rate neighborhood. We need parishioners that can afford to give more. Now we have the parishioners that can only afford $1 a week. So a mixed neighborhood is a very good, viable neighborhood.
Right.
So the church, I think, will do fine as new parishioners move in. When we were kids growing up, the church was the central focus of the neighborhood with lawn fetes and...
Do you think it can be again in any way?
I
mean,
do.
What role does the church have to play besides just being a big museum?
No, I think the church needs to reach out to the young people, and I think they've helped tremendously raise funds for this project, this renovation project, and I think
Young people have.
The young people
Why?
have done it because they cherish the church, even though they're not churchgoers. They never want anything happen to their church or former school, and they will do everything. So I think we need to go a step further and try other ways to involve them and recruit them other than just fundraising.
What would you, if you were going to advise Father Lutz as the pastor here, what would you say to him or somebody like me or a city priest? What would you advise us as far as getting younger people involved?
I would get young music there. I would get there's a local guy from the neighborhood whose whole family lived down here. He sings at a lot of different venues. I would get him at Sunday Mass. He would fill the church.
I see.
Okay. So you got to reach out to things that the young people are interested in.
Of course.
They love trivia. I would start a religious trivia about questions about religious items.
You want to try this?
I do.
Let's see how it tastes. All right.
God, I might like
Cheers.
water.
Here we go.
Cheers, Father. Thanks for having me. Boy, that's different.
It's pretty good.
It's better than water.
Maybe it needs a bit of sugar, maybe. You want to try a little of your salad here?
Sure, it's healthy. We got healthy water,
Healthy water.
salad.
Yeah, isn't it great? All right, healthy
Thank
selfie.
you.
There we go. I'm going to have the shrimp because I love them. Hey, we're going to be back with more of our Daily Bread. We're going to look at one more location called Larkinville right after this. Welcome back to our Daily Bread, where we're exploring the renaissance of areas of Buffalo, New York. Renaissance meaning a revitalization, in some ways a gentrification of the area. And a lot of issues come up, as well as a lot of blessings come up. And one of the guys who's a great blessing to this area we're in now in Larkinville is friar, Franciscan friar, Father Judd. Father Judd's here with some fruit salad he made for us. And I made a little bit of cream with this. Actually, I used half and half. You can use cream or... Hi, Father Judd.
Hi,
How
Father
you doing?
Paul. I hope you like the
Your
fruit
mother
salad.
used to make fruit salad every day, you told me,
Yes,
right?
this is her favorite recipe. Yep.
And
for
you
summer
had it
fruit.
served every day.
Every day.
Do you still have fruit salad every single day?
We still do here at the Friary.
Wow, that's amazing. I made a little bit of a creamy sauce for it, just a little bit. I'm presuming you're okay with dairy on your fruit. A little
love
bit.
it.
This has a very small amount of sugar, some almond extract, and we use some half and half. If you use cream, it'll thicken up a little bit better. I used half and half, which doesn't thicken, so I put about 2 big heaping tablespoons of light sour cream in there too. So that should be pretty good. So, Father, your Father Judd is your first name?
Yes.
J-U-D. What kind of name is that, Judd?
Well, it's a nickname, really. My sister couldn't pronounce my baptismal name, William, when I was born, so she called me Dud. But Dud thankfully evolved into Judd, and it stuck.
Now, as a Franciscan, you're kind of you belong to the world, the Franciscans, not a particular diocese specifically. However, you started out in Edwardsville, New York, in the Diocese of Buffalo, where you're now assigned.
This is a homecoming of sorts to be in Buffalo. It's my first time living in this neighborhood. I grew up in Edwardsville.
I see. And, you know, I remember this neighborhood from when I was a kid. My dad was a firefighter, so he stopped by the firehouse down near the now we call it the hydraulic district, or we used to, right?
Right. Seymour Street, right in front of our friary, used to be a canal. and then they filled it in, and when the railroads came, they didn't really need this canal system anymore. But that's how it got the name of the hydraulics.
But when I was a kid, I don't remember a Larkinville. I remember the old First Ward and South Buffalo, and we called one area Kaisertown, and they had all different names, but never Larkinville. Was that a name that has evolved recently, or
It's
what?
a new name. Maybe the last 7 or 8 years, people have started referring to this area as Larkinville because of the great things going on over there at Larkin Square.
One of the things is that when a city is being revitalized and there's kind of a renaissance going on, that sometimes it takes money to make money, and sometimes it's those people who already have that continue to kind of gain the benefits of an economic redevelopment. How does this affect, people in the neighborhood, the older families who've been here for a number of years?
Well, it's going to have advantages and disadvantages. An advantage is I just heard from one of the people who's developing one of these old factory buildings into lofts that there may be a grocery store moving in there. That would be great for the neighborhood. We need a grocery store. But at the same time, as the property values increase, the taxes will increase. So people who've lived here for decades in the same house may find themselves no longer able to afford living in this neighborhood.
What do we do about that? What can we do?
What we're trying to do is, as Franciscans, we have a heritage of being connectors. And the haves and the have-nots we find in this neighborhood here, we try to bring them together. For instance, people who have opened up new businesses here or a new brewery are helping our food pantry. So it's a way that we can try to find creative solutions to the difficulties that the people in the neighborhood who are not experiencing that great economic renaissance, that they can get some of those benefits too.
Earlier on today, you told me that the food pantry began here when guys that we used to call hobos would come knocking on the door. Tell me about a little bit about that, and what's the status of the food pantry today?
Well, it's still going strong, and it does date back to the Great Depression. Now we have a converted garage, which is a wonderful client-centered food pantry. In other words, people can get a little shopping cart, and they don't just take what you give them. They're given choice as to what type of pasta they want, what type of canned goods they want, etc. So the food pantry is going strong. We also have a thrift shop on Clinton Street where people can get great clothing for a very, very low price.
Do you need volunteers? Are you in need of people to do ministry in the name of the...
We have great volunteers. Many of them have been volunteering with us for decades, and many of them are also secular Franciscans, part of the Franciscan family. But I think some of them would appreciate a little break, being able to maybe take a week off vacation and know that somebody else would cover for them. So yes, we could use more volunteers especially for the thrift shop and for the food pantry.
The Bishop of the Episcopal Diocese of Buffalo, Bishop Franklin, and our Catholic Bishop, Bishop Malone, back in December of 2014 came out with a joint letter about some of the challenges that exist when prosperity starts to grow. And one of those challenges is to find out how we bring other people, as you said, the have-nots along with the haves, How do you see that role as far as you fitting into that, in addition to making those connections? Is there anything else?
Well, another thing is to do community organizing. I was recently asked by people from Voice Buffalo to consider doing some community organizing efforts. I did that in Camden, New Jersey for 9 years, and it's a wonderful way to approach challenges in a neighborhood.
I love your fruit salad, but I really want to go see Larkinville with you. Can
Let's
we do
go.
that?
Let's go.
All right. So here we are in your neighborhood, Larkinville. And what a beautiful place it is. There's chairs outside you don't really see normally in public spaces of that. But I can imagine you must make quite a sight here in your brown robe, huh?
Well, it does attract some attention, and people have no qualms about coming up and saying, "Oh, are you a monk?" And then I'll explain the difference between a monk and a friar, that a monk stays inside the monastery, but friars are out among the people. People will come up and say, "Oh, I went to Timon High School," or "I went to St. Bonaventure. Do you know this friar?" But I really enjoy wearing it. One woman at Tim Hortons said to me, "Are you in a play or are you really a monk?" I said, "Well, I'm not in a play and I'm a friar, not a monk." And I went up to pay for my order, and they said, "Oh, the lady paid for your order for you." That's not why we wear it. We don't wear it to get free coffee.
Of course.
But it's a great sign and a great symbol.
Part of the new evangelization effort in one way, too. You're on the committee in the Diocese of Buffalo, and I always ask the question, what's the difference between new evangelization and the old evangelization?
My understanding is that in the old evangelization, you were going to populations that had never heard about Jesus.
Right.
But with the new evangelization, we're going to people who were baptized, maybe made their first communion, and then became disengaged from the church for one reason or another.
We used to call them fallen away Catholics.
Right, right.
Now we call them disengaged, which is a better term probably.
Right.
In addition to the fact that you're the first person who's been able to explain what the new evangelization really is in such a succinct way to me, reaching out to those who are disengaged. And here we got food trucks and we got all kinds of things. And I understand that Tuesday's a big night for the food trucks, huh?
You'll get 30, 40 trucks here, over 1,000 people, great selections.
That's amazing. Well, today we went to Canalside. We took a trip to St. Joseph's Cathedral in downtown Buffalo. We went to the old First Ward of South Buffalo, Our Lady of Perpetual Help Church. Then we made it to Larkinville. We've done a lot of things today. The Friary of St. Patrick's over there. We met Father Judd. We had a lot of good times, good friends, and a lot of good food along the way. Hope you're enjoying your day today as well. And remember, no matter where you are, what you're doing, you can always do something for someone else. As the Lord Jesus said, love God with your whole heart, mind, soul, and being. But remember to love your neighbor as yourself. Till next time, peace. Father, you going to take a shot there? Okay. Okay. Oh. What? Ta-da! That wasn't bad. Did you get that, Andy?